Hello and welcome to another video about the techniques about electronic torture. This is part 3, electronic torture techniques part 3. Well, in my last video I was talking about this experience of Kaznacheyev, the Russian scientist. I show you again this picture. I have taken it out from Tom Bearden, his book is Gravitybiology, and I explain again here there are two different cell cultures, and you can make a healthy cell culture sick if you send a scalar wave through the air. If you have a healthy cell culture, you can make a healthy cell culture sick if you send this sick information from a sick cell culture to a healthy cell culture. And also the other way around. There's this German scientist, his name is Konstantin Meil. He found out that you can heal a person if you send the signal of dying cancer cells to a person who has cancer. He can be healed, and he does it with this kind of this apparatus. You just lay here the cell culture of dying cancer cells on this flat coil. The information is taken by the Skalarwaves, because this whole flat coil is a information field, and it picks up the information of this dying cancer cells, send it to this person who has cancer, and he can be healed in a short time. And there were a doctor in Madrid in Spain, and he said to Mr. Meil, well, this man, he was considered to die, but he was a case without hope, and well, he healed. In several weeks he was healed from this cancer. So that means that the Skalartechnology has a high potential for healing. But what are they doing? They use this as a weapon against us. And I said last time, well, could be that they send also cancer signals to us. And I'm quite sure that they can't hit me with that. Why? Because it needs interface to make these signals strong enough that your cells are convinced, we have a cancer or we are sick, because this interface called Morgellon, it copies our DNA and send these wrong signals they use against us. Mostly it is just energy. It is just energy to make the electrons moving in your body that you feel pain. It can also be that they try to kill us slowly with cancer signals, but I'm quite sure that they can't kill me with that. Why? Why is that? These Morgellons, they send the signal direct to our DNA cell, and normally our cell signals, our cell communication is well hidden for the outside, for any try to manipulate. I show you a picture from Konstantin Miles' book, cell DNA and cell resonance. As I said in my last video, our cells are in a resonance. There's always a standing wave, scalar wave, between our cell DNA. Every cell has a core, a nuke, and there's a DNA string, but that DNA string is many times curled or wrapped or wired. I don't know which word is the best in your language. Well, I show you. This is our DNA string, and you see there are histones. Histones are in our cell, and this DNA string is wrapped around histones. It looks like that. And so that means there is a second frequency. First you have this pure DNA signal. It is in the range of ultraviolet. So this photons we see this frequency is visual light. Then the color violet is the last color we can see with our eyes. And above this comes ultraviolet light. We can't see it. Normally they warning us, be aware of this ultraviolet. If you make a sunbath, be aware of this cancer. Yes, the Australian people, they have this problem because they have a lack of ozone in the atmosphere, so they have to put on sun blockers on their skin. But our DNA is communicating with ultraviolet frequency, and then it is wired. There comes another frequency, and it is many times wired, not only one time. But I show you a good picture from this book. Well, on the top you see this DNA strand. The first time wrapped, the second time, and so on and so on. And that means every time there's another structure, another curling, another wrapping, there's another frequency, and normally our body signals, cell signals are it's a mix. It's such a mix of frequencies inside our body. You can't read it from the outside, or you can't hit us with just one frequency. They take maybe a frequency in this ultraviolet range. If they find your DNA, it can be that they have your blood sample. I think that everybody who is born now, they take it immediately. When the births take place, they take the blood sample, so they have the DNA of this man, woman. So later, when they make problems, they can hit them, they can target them. I think the last 20-30 years, there are states in the USA, they do it, and they don't ask the parents, they just do it. Well, and but they can also take your DNA signal with this scalar machines. The scalar waves, they can pick up the signal, but it only can be because of this Morgellons, because this Morgellons they copy our DNA, and all this curlings and all this wrappings are, it's like a shortcut. Normally our signal is hidden. I give you some drawings, not very beautiful, but okay. Imagine this is your own DNA signal. It's a special frequency you have, and there are other frequencies. The frequency of your DNA is in the ultraviolet range, is a high frequency. With the light is a lower frequency, so that means that there's a bigger space between these waves. And then you have infrared, and all together it's a mixture. So our DNA signal looks maybe like that. It's called modulation. This wave is modulated. It's a wave and another wave. They are combined. Our ultraviolet DNA signal is inside infrared wave and other waves. It's such a mix. Normally they can't find it. They can't find it without these Morgellons. So that means if you get rid of these Morgellons, you put them out, as I explained in my other videos. So that the titles, you know, how to survive it, well, part 1, 2, and so on. Well, if you get out these Morgellons, you have a great chance to survive and to get painless. What are they doing? They're connecting these Morgellons with metals, so the metals can store the energy. It's like a capacitor that they first fill up these capacitors, so the Morgellons get your DNA signal, and then the Morgellons are connected with metals, with copper, I don't know what metals. Well, and then they give you such a hit that you have real pain, and well, I think that if the Morgellons are out, they can't hit your DNA directly anymore, because it is hidden. It's a mixture. It's a mix of many frequencies, and so if you send you a cancer signal, you can avoid to get sick if you have a good nutrition. You eat vegetable, bioorganic produced. Well, you move, you go outside. You don't stay at home all the time. There's a special frequency that they try to keep you at home, that you are lazy. There's a kind of laziness they produce, that you don't like to go out, and you become comfortable and you stay, and if you stay all the time in your apartment at home, and there are these machines around you, your neighbors, they take this money, and maybe they need this money, and maybe they are told that it is just funny teasing or whatever. So if you stay, they have much greater chance to make you sick. So to move, to go outside is also helpful, but you have to get rid of these Morgellons that send you the signal to your body cells as a shortcut. And if you put out this shortcut, they can't hit you so well anymore. Well, that's about my last video. I also have found some other interesting photos, scalar waves, that they can transport informations, energy, over distance, over long distance, and for example here is one of Tesla's coil. It's a Tesla coil. It's a the first coil he made. It's a long one, and there's a lamp, a neon lamp. It starts to glow without touching. The scalar wave is transporting the energy to the lamp. It starts to glow. Or for example, another one. Here's another picture. You see the scalar wave is coming from this ball, from this electrode, and well, it starts to glow, and so that means our body cells are transporting energy, but mostly they transporting informations. They need yes, informations are important for any life form, and maybe I read you something from this book of Tom Bearden. It's called Gravitybiology, and well, just to make you see how important our cell communication is, I read first the pre-text. You know, this text always on the first page. There's a pre-introduction of this book, written by somebody else, not by the author. Well, I just read it for you, and then I go a little bit into the details of cell communication. Gravitybiology and new biophysics. New mechanisms for deep effects in biological systems. Tom Bearden exposes the connection between hidden electromagnetic field energy and new mechanisms that produce deep effects in biological systems. Documenting examples of their use, he explains the physics behind these mechanisms, which also hold vast potential for healing. This concise volume covers Soviet energetics and the biological effects of enfolded electromagnetic fields, in brackets subspace, non-local quantum potentials, and the true purpose of the Soviets' woodpecker over the horizon radar aimed at the West. The reader will also learn about key experience, generally ignored by the West, that led the Soviets to discover and exploit these mechanisms, including Kaznacheyev cytopathogenic effect, Deviatkov's information content of the field, the meaning of the microwave radiation of the US Embassy in Moscow, well, not so long ago on Cuba, in Havana, they did it again. Also included are Whittaker's 1903 and 1904 papers, often cited in other Bearden works, whose mathematics, in brackets, unrecognized at the time, underpins the structural scalar potential. In a final appendix, Bearden proposes a solution to the Holy Grail of physics, the unification of electromagnetics, general relativity and quantum mechanics via the Whittaker model, first published 1991. Well, that was the introduction. Let me read it a little bit, a text from Tom Bearden. Here you can find it also in the internet if you Google Tom Bearden. Well, here is a text I show you. Here you see there's sun and moon and the earth, and they are connected via scalar waves. Graviton waves are slow scalar waves. Scalar waves can have different speeds. It is not only one speed. There are different speeds. Well, I read a little bit just to give you an introduction what is meant by this in the introduction. Well, mechanics for evolution, Gaia and morphogenetic field. For all creatures and species on Earth, the Whittaker structured potential mechanism provides the precise physical mechanisms for evolution and for Sheldrake's morphogenetic field. Every creature continually contributes structures into the quantum potential for its own species, and the quantum potential for every species is part of the overall planetary quantum potential for all its living things. Each species has its own quantum potential to which every action, movement, thought or incident of, by and to its members contributes a minute amount of substructuring. Thus, very, very slowly, the species' bio-quantum potential adapts from the combined experiences of all its members, and the species learns. Sudden, wholesale changes, of course, can extinguish a species before this mechanism has time to adapt. But if the species has time, it will adapt to even harsh changes inflicted by its environment, and it will change and survive. The species' bioquantum potential provides the exact mechanism for the species to change, adapt, and evolve to survive the slowly changing adversities of its environment. Note that each living cell of a biological organism is itself a complete biological organism. Each cell has its own individual bioquantum potential, insofar as that cell is concerned. Its species bioquantum potential is the body bioquantum potential of the whole animal of which the cell is a part. Even organs of an animal have their own biopotentials, as does every physical structure and division of everything in the universe. And everything intra-communicates and intercommunicates via hidden electromagnetic energy. So that means scalar waves. Well, I think it's enough. Sometimes I must confess I don't understand everything. It is quite different to understand. Difficult, sorry. It is different from that what we learned at school. We learned at school, well, there's electricity, there's a wire, there comes a currency, but all this stuff you don't learn at school. It is because, as I said in my last video, this Nikola Tesla man, he made so great inventions, and they saw what deep impact his inventions had. So they hide him in the States of America, where they said, well, we take your technology, we sell it to Russia, to the Tsar, and you know what is no coincidence? The same year, the Wardenclyffe Tower in Long Island in New York, it burned down, so they destroyed his energy antenna. The same year, 1917, the Russian Revolution took place, and after that they built up this Stalinistic regime, and all these scientists, Russian scientists, they developed this Tesla technique. Tesla sold before to the Tsar. This is no coincidence. There's an agenda behind this all. I told you in other videos. Well, it's just that the Jesuit order, they didn't want to have this technology in a free America. They preferred to develop it in a dictatorship under Stalin. And there are so many cruel experiences in Siberia. If you are a target individuum, you can imagine how cruel it is still today. But there were many experiences. In 1989, then when Gorbachev came and there was perestroika and the old regime went down, they came to these laboratories in Siberia and they were torturing people there with Skalarwaves to develop this scalar weapons. They killed everybody, including scientists. It's written here in this book. It's another book of Konstantin Meil, and this book is not available in English. When Konstantin Meil published this book, he was under so hard attacks that he couldn't publish it in English. He was under a big pressure because there are so many things in it. I can say something about this picture here. This is a Nazi bell. The Nazis, they tried to change mercury into gold. This is an old dream of mankind to make gold. In the Middle Age in Europe, they were this alchemists. They tried it, but they never succeed. But with this bell, you can do it. But this gold is so radioactive that if you touch it, you die. So this gold is quite worthless. But the Nazis, they did it. They had this special bell, produced Skalarwaves. It can change mercury into gold. Well, there are some other things in it. I can't explain it because for that video the time somehow is over. Well, maybe next time let me go more into this cell communication. Of course they attacking our cell communication. If you imagine, if you have the DNA of a targeted person, you send this signal right to this Morgellons and then they send it to our cells. What happens if a scalar wave comes, scalar wave, standing wave, imagine it can be like this, it don't has to be straight, it can be also coming in a curve, and then if a scalar wave comes into a coil, in that coil the electrons start to move, and this gives you this horrible pain. This is this torture about. So again, put this Morgellons out, and then you are free of not every pain, but the main torture is gone then, I promise you. Well, cell communication is more than just moving electrons and hitting our DNA strings. It's much more complicated. In this vacuum channels of a scalar wave, there are structures, there are patterns, it's like a scripture. There are photons, gravitons, electrons. It is like it's this what is said the information field. Information field. I read it. The content of a field. Deviatkov, another Russian scientist, he found it out. There are information fields, and they can be sent between our cells with scalar waves. And you think, well, if this is a vacuum channel, a tube, do you think you can see it? No, it's you can't see it with the eye. It's just to make you show around this tube there's this electromagnetic transversal wave, electrons, gravitons, and inside this is what really matters in this cell communication. And the Western scientists didn't know, because all this knowledge from Tesla was taken away from them to Russia. Well, it sounds like a conspiracy. Exactly, it is a conspiracy. Well, I just read a little bit about vacuum channels, and then I think I will end this video. In the gravitons composing the vacuum potential, one photonic element is time forward and one is time reversed. These are phased conjugates. Thus, any pattern consistently happening to the species diffuses into the vacuum potential, where its oppositive or negative feedback component is automatically selected or created by phase conjugation. Well, as I said in my last video, if you have a scalar wave, it's always going in two directions. It's always responding. If you have a resonance, if you have a same frequency, scalar frequency, then there are two directions, and it's like a standing live connection. So there's no loss of time. It's timeless, if you like. There's no time that matters inside a scalar wave. There's no time, if you like. So, and this is the reason why this technique is used for mind control. They can see what is going in my head in a real time. They see it, what is going on, if you think the electrons are moving in your brain. So if they have a connection with a scalar wave, mostly they take this back brain. It's quite complicated, this quantum physics, and well, it's interesting. I try to continue, maybe I tell you some more about this, but the main thing is get all out of your body that makes this shortcut to your DNA strings called Morgellons. Well, that's it. See you next video.